In this lesson, we will learn to install R. So I'll use Chrome and you can use any web browser. So go on Google and just type in R Studio. So this will take you to this website called Posit. And if you scroll down, you'll see that there are two options, install R and install R Studio. So we need to do step number one. This is step number one. We need to install R, and then step number two will be installing R Studio. Now, why we need to do that? Okay, so simple thing is that this will, if you click here, it will install the R basic software. But if you, and you can do a lot of things with this one, but the user interface is not that great for the basic version. So for which is why we will install R Studio, which is much more cleaner way to do R. And I'll show you what I mean. So since I'm using Windows computer, so I'll just click here. And this takes us to the CRAN website. And CRAN stands for Comprehensive R Archive Network. Now, what this means, to keep it very simple, is that this is a massive archive, massive repository, which consists of two things mainly. Number one is the basic R software, and the second one is packages. Now, what do I mean by packages? So these are special functionalities that you can add on based on maybe you're doing some complicated work. So the basic R software might not have that special functionality. So you can pull, this special functionality into the basic software and use it. Okay. So the best part about R is that it's open source. Which means it is free of cost to everyone. Now, unlike softwares like SPSS, it's free of cost. You don't pay a penny to anyone. So you just go here and download it. That's the best part. Now, the difficult part is that it's not as user-friendly as SPSS, because softwares like SPSS uses something we call graphical user interface, where we probably just click, drag, and drop. But in this case, we will be using command line. So we will be learning some programming, and that's how R functions. But R is known for its versatility. So once you learn R, you don't need to learn anything else if you're doing statistics. So since I'm using a Windows computer, I will click on this, and as you can see right now, as of today, it's September 2024, I'm recording this video, and you can see that it's the current version of R is 4.4.1. The first four, what it means, it tells you about the major version. So for example, you have iPhone 15 and the latest one, iPhone 16, is coming up. So it's that for R. The one after the decimal, 4.4, the second four, it means the minor fixtures that they have made for the main model. Okay. And the point one represents the patch differences, the different patches. So the next version of R will probably be 4.4.2 and 4.4.3, so on. And then after some point, you'll see 4.5.1, 4.5.2, and so on. So there is a high chance, and they do these updates very frequently, maybe after every few weeks, maybe they'll change a patch. Every 3 weeks, they will probably change a patch, or maybe a few months. And every 6 months, they will probably change the minor version, which is like 4.5, maybe after 6 months from now. And this one, the major fix, they don't do that this often. So for example, the third version was probably in 2000, I think 2008. I mean, I'm not sure about it at the moment, but what I'm saying is that you don't have to worry about this major version because it takes several years, like 5 6 years, for them to get into maybe five. Okay, so don't worry about that. Mainly work, like, and you don't have to worry about it. And the minor and these patches does not makes much difference to the codes you will be learning. So don't worry about that. And high chances at the time of you watching this video and downloading it, it's probably 4.5, 4.6. Doesn't matter, everything remains the same. Okay, maybe they fix a few bugs here and there, but don't worry about that much. So we'll just click on this and save. I'll just save it on my computer. Okay, once this is done, I'll run it for installation. Click on yes, English, yes, next, next. So I'll keep everything as it is. So, and this installation will take a few moments. Finish. And that's it. And then we will move on to the next step, installing RStudio. I'll click on save. Same process. So it's not that complicated. It's a similar installation process for many other softwares, including SPSS. So you just have to follow along the steps and it's pretty simple. Next. So available space is 1 GB, so that's fine. RStudio, next. Now this installation will take a few moments, and after it's done, RStudio should be ready. Now the way it works is that RStudio will rely on the base software, which is what we installed here. So this is more like where you write your codes, and this is the machine or the main powerhouse from which this will, like this studio will utilize the base R to do its job. Okay, which is why we installed this initially. Now if you click on the first one, this one, okay, if you click on that icon like I did here, you'll see the user interface looks something like this. So if you go to new script, yeah, so it will look somewhat like this. Okay, so it does not looks pretty, right? I mean, it does not looks that good. And once we are done installing RStudio, you'll see why we needed that. You can do some stuff here and that's fine, but it's just RStudio makes it looks more beautiful and it's much easier to do the job. Okay, so it's done. Now we'll click on finish and head back to Windows and search RStudio, and here it is. So just click on open, and I'll keep that because my computer has 64-bit, so I'll just keep it to that and click OK. Yeah, this is the R version. Now did you notice that how clean this is, how beautiful it is, RStudio, compared to what we saw in R, compared to this, the basic version? So it looked kind of, quite old and not so user friendly, but compare that to this. Now, quickly speaking, there are three boxes, this one, and this one. Now, this box, it is the editor, this is the console, and this is the graphics. Okay. To cut the long story short, you can write the codes here in console and you will get the outputs here. But the main problem with this one is that you cannot save the codes. And a lot of times we need to save it, right? For which reason I recommend you to write the codes here in the editor box. Write the editor here, write your codes here so that later on you can click on file and save it. Now, this box, as it suggests graphics, it generates the plots, graphs, whatever that you write here. And if you run it, the outputs will come here, the numeric outputs, and the graphical outputs like the bar charts and those kind of things, pie chart, line graph, it will show up here. So that's RStudio in just a few words, and this is how you install it. And that's it for this class. Now let's get to work.